There's a moment almost everyone recognizes. You watch a powerful video, read an inspiring quote, hear a speech that makes your chest feel tight with possibility. For a few hours, maybe a few days, you feel unstoppable. You promise yourself this time will be different. This time, you'll wake up early, stay consistent, eat better, work harder, focus longer. And then, quietly, without drama, life resumes. The alarm is ignored. The notebook stays closed. The fire fades, and you're left wondering why something that felt so real vanished so fast. The uncomfortable truth is that motivation didn't betray you. It simply did what it always does. Motivation is not broken. It's just not designed to last. Motivation works like emotional sugar. It gives an instant rush of energy, clarity, and confidence. But it never builds anything sustainable. The brain loves novelty and emotional spikes, and motivation delivers both. That's why it feels so powerful in the beginning. But the same brain that gets excited also adapts quickly. What once felt inspiring becomes familiar. What felt urgent becomes optional. Motivation fades not because you lack discipline or willpower, but because the human mind is wired to normalize emotional highs. Expecting motivation to stay is like expecting a spark to keep a factory running. Another reason motivation fails is because it depends entirely on how you feel in the moment. When you're rested, optimistic, and emotionally charged, motivation feels natural. But real progress doesn't happen only on good days. It happens on tired days, boring days, stressful days, and days when nothing feels meaningful. Motivation cannot survive in those conditions. It demands perfect emotional weather. The moment discomfort enters, fatigue, fear, self-doubt, motivation steps back. It was never meant to carry you through resistance. It only shows up when the path already feels easy. There's also a deeper psychological trap hidden inside motivation. It creates the illusion that feeling ready is a prerequisite for action. You start believing you need to feel inspired before you begin. So you wait, you scroll, you consume more content. You look for the next push. This turns motivation into a dependency rather than a tool. Over time, you don't trust yourself to act without emotional excitement. You train your brain to associate effort with hype instead of commitment. And when the hype disappears, so does your momentum. Motivation also fails because it focuses your attention on outcomes instead of processes. When you're motivated, you imagine results, the success, the transformation, the applause, the relief. But results are distant. They don't reward you immediately. Daily actions do. When motivation wears off, the gap between effort and reward feels unbearable. You start questioning whether it's worth it. Systems, habits, and routines work differently. They reward you with structure, predictability, and identity reinforcement, even when results are far away. Motivation promises a future feeling. Systems create a present behavior. Another uncomfortable truth is that motivation thrives on emotion, but growth demands neutrality. The most effective people don't feel endlessly driven. They feel normal. They show up without drama. They don't negotiate with their mood every morning. They've removed decision-making from the equation. Motivation makes everything feel personal. Systems make everything procedural. One drains energy, the other conserves it. Motivation also collapses under pressure because it has no memory. Every day feels like starting over. If you miss a day, motivation turns into guilt. Guilt turns into avoidance. Avoidance kills momentum. Systems don't shame you for missing a day. They simply bring you back to the process. Motivation asks, do you feel like doing this today? Systems ask, what happens next? That difference is everything. There's a reason people who rely on motivation often burn out. Emotional intensity is expensive. You can't operate at peak emotional energy every day. When you try, your nervous system pushes back. Fatigue shows up. Procrastination appears, resistance grows stronger. Then you blame yourself. When in reality, your strategy was flawed. Sustainable effort is quiet. It doesn't feel heroic. It feels boring, repetitive, and almost invisible. Motivation hates boredom. Progress requires it. Motivation also fails because it doesn't change identity. You can feel motivated to act differently, but unless your self-image shifts, your behavior will eventually return to baseline. You can feel motivated to wake up early, but if you still see yourself as not a morning person, the habit won't stick. Systems work because they slowly reshape identity. You don't rise to motivation, you fall back to who you believe you are. Over time, chasing motivation becomes a cycle of false starts. You begin strong, quit quietly, feel disappointed, then look for another motivational trigger. Each cycle chips away at self-trust. You stop believing in your own promises. The real damage of motivation isn't that it fades. It's that repeated reliance on it trains you to expect failure. You begin associating ambition with disappointment. The alternative isn't to become emotionless or robotic. It's to stop making motivation the engine. Motivation can be a spark, but never the fuel. Structure is fuel. Environment is fuel. Identity is fuel. When your surroundings, routines, and commitments are aligned, action becomes automatic. You don't need to feel motivated to brush your teeth. You don't need motivation to check your phone. Those behaviors are embedded. Success works the same way. The people who appear disciplined are rarely fighting themselves every day. They've designed their lives to make the right action the default action. They removed friction instead of adding hype. They built systems that operate even when motivation is gone. That's why they keep going when others stop. If there's one shift that changes everything, it's this. Stop asking how to stay motivated and start asking how to make quitting harder than continuing. When action is easier than avoidance, consistency becomes natural. Motivation fades, but systems endure. So if you've been blaming yourself for losing motivation, stop. You didn't fail. You were using the wrong tool. Motivation always fails eventually because it was never meant to carry the weight of long-term change. What lasts is what doesn't depend on how you feel. The real question isn't how to get motivated again. It's how to build a life that doesn't require motivation to function. And once you do that, you'll realize something surprising. Progress feels quieter, but it finally sticks. If this resonated, don't wait for motivation to act on it. Pick one small system today, one routine, one commitment you'll honor whether you feel inspired or not. That's where real change begins. And that's how you stop starting over.